History is often changed not by grand declarations, but by things that fail to happen. A letter that isn't delivered, a phone call that goes unanswered, or, in the case of the Bangladesh bank, a printer that fails to click into gear. It is the morning of Friday, February 5th, 2016. In the heart of Dhaka, the central bank's 10th floor Swift room is silent. This room is the nerve centre of the nation's wealth, the gateway to the billions of dollars the country holds in foreign reserves. Normally, the automated printer in the corner provides a steady rhythm, churning out physical confirmations of every dollar that moves in or out. But this morning, the tray is empty. To the duty manager, it's a nuisance. A paper jam, perhaps, or a software glitch. He tries to manual start the system. It fails. He decides it can wait until the weekend is over. But across the world, in the high-frequency trading hubs of New York and the neon-soaked corridors of Manila, the silence of that printer was the sound of a vacuum, one that was currently sucking $951 million out of the world's most secure financial pipeline. To understand the scale of the 2016 heist, we must first pull back the curtain on the global financial architecture. For decades, the public has been under the illusion that money moves like water through a pipe. In reality, money moves like a secret. In 1973, 239 banks from 15 countries came together to solve a problem. How do we send money across borders without the risk of mail fraud or telegram interception? They created SWIFT, the Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication. SWIFT is not a bank. It holds no money. Instead, it is a highly encrypted messaging system. Think of it as a private, elite WhatsApp for the world's 11,000 largest financial institutions. When a bank sends a SWIFT message, it is telling another bank, I have the funds, deduct them from my account and credit this person. Because the system was so exclusive and the encryption so robust, the messages themselves became as good as gold. For 40 years, the fundamental rule of global finance was simple. If a SWIFT message says the money is there, the money is there. By 2016, this system was processing 25 million messages a day. It was the backbone of globalization. But the Bangladesh bank, like many central banks in developing nations, relied on this system for everything. They held roughly $28 billion in reserves, much of it sitting in account number 02-106-0001 at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, the most secure bank on the planet. The heist didn't begin in February. It began a year earlier with a job application. In January 2015, several employees at the Bangladesh bank received an email from a job seeker named Russell Olam. The email contained a link to a CV. When one employee clicked that link, nothing appeared to happen. But in the background, a small piece of code, a Trojan, slipped into the bank's internal network. For nearly 365 days, the intruders did nothing. They were lurkers. They watched. They learned the bank's hierarchy. They mapped the network. Most importantly, they watched how the SWIFT operators typed. They learned the specific codes used for billion-dollar transfers. This is the analytical gap. Most security systems are looking for an intruder who wants to break things. These intruders didn't want to break the system. They wanted to become the system. They eventually found the most critical piece of the puzzle, the software that connected the bank's internal ledger to the SWIFT terminal. They wrote a custom piece of malware, later dubbed Evoter, designed to do one specific thing. It would delete the record of any outgoing transfer from the bank's internal database and prevent the printer from printing the confirmation. Thursday, February 4th, 8 p.m, Dhaka time. As the bank staff finishes their shift, the hackers take control of the SWIFT terminal. They begin sending 35 separate MTIC-103 messages to the Federal Reserve in New York. Total value, $951 million. Thursday, 9 a.m, New York time. The Federal Reserve's computers receive the requests. To the Fed, these messages are indistinguishable from the thousands of legitimate requests they receive from Dhaka every year. The first few transactions are cleared instantly. $20 million is sent to a small NGO in Sri Lanka. $81 million is sent to 4 accounts at a branch of RCBC Bank in the Philippines. But then, the friction of reality intervened. One of the transfers was destined for the Shalika Foundation in Sri Lanka. A routing bank, Deutsche Bank, noticed a typo. Foundation. They halted the $20 million transfer and sent a query back to Dhaka. At the same time, the Fed's automated system flagged several other requests because they were being sent to private individuals, not banks. The Fed sent a series of urgent messages to Dhaka asking for verification. But Dhaka was silent. It was Friday morning there. The bank was closed for the weekend. Saturday, February the 6th. The Bangladesh bank officials finally fixed the printer. It begins to churn out pages of failed and completed messages. The staff is confused. They try to call the Fed in New York, but now it's Saturday in New York. The Fed is closed. This was the time zone trap. The hackers had found a 72-hour window where the two ends of the transaction were never awake at the same time. By the time both banks were open and talking on Monday morning, the $81 million in the Philippines had already been withdrawn. Once the $81 million hit the Philippines, it entered a black hole. It was moved from the RCBC Bank into the accounts of a local businessman, then into a foreign exchange broker, and finally into the one place where money becomes untraceable, the casinos. In 2016, Philippine casinos were not subject to anti-money laundering laws. The hackers converted the $81 million into dead chips. Chips that must be played before they can be cashed back out. For days, junket players sat at baccarat tables, slowly losing a small percentage of the money while washing the rest into clean legal winnings. By the time the Bangladesh government sent agents to Manila, the money had been spent, moved to Macau, or disappeared into the pockets of shadow figures. Out of nearly $1 billion attempted, $81 million was gone forever. It remains one of the most successful cash-outs in history. The aftermath was a brutal wake-up call. The governor of the Bangladesh Bank, Atiur Rahman, a man who had pulled millions out of poverty, was forced to resign in tears. SWIFT, which had long blamed individual banks for security flaws, was forced to admit that the system itself had a trust problem. If a group of hackers could impersonate a central bank so perfectly that the Federal Reserve didn't blink, what did that say about the safety of our global reserves? The heist changed how we think about the perimeter. In the 20th century, a bank's perimeter was its walls. In the 21st, the perimeter is every employee's email inbox. Today, the SWIFT system has been overhauled with customer security programs. But the fundamental vulnerability remains. The system is only as strong as the person holding the key. We look at our bank balances on our phones and see numbers. We believe those numbers represent something physical, something real. But as the Bangladesh bank heist showed us, those numbers are just messages, and messages can be forged. We live in a world built on the assumption of honesty. We are now learning that in the digital age, honesty is the most expensive luxury of all.